and everybody else.
But he did a lot of people.
Yeah.
No, he did. That was a great moment. I mean, obviously, I was in high school, and I remember watching. I was a big fan of his, and he was still on that sort of trying to get to a championship level player, team. But that was an iconic moment right there. And 30 years ago, it's amazing to think that it was that long ago. But I got pain from him a little bit later, like the rest of us in the mid-'90s. But certainly was an honor and a privilege to play against Michael Jordan.
Very much like the Damian Lillard shot the other night to win a series, except that game was tied. Jordan and the Bulls were down a point when he took that shot near the buzzer to send them to round 2, back when they were 5-game series, by the way. Jordan was one of 4 players to ever score 150 points, pull down 30 rebounds, and hand out at least 15 assists through the first 4 games of a playoff series until Kawhi Leonard made it a 5-some. Kawhi is averaging 38 a game in the series so far, including 39 in the Game 4 win, which tied things up. He is the second leading scorer in the playoffs so far, behind Kevin Durant. Also leads all playoff performers in player efficiency ratings. And Grant, this is why you go out on a limb to make a deal for a superstar for games like these.
Yeah, great point, Matt. I mean, a guy like this is a once-in-a-lifetime talent, an elite player who, has just has been as good as anyone. And I can recall in recent years, just his efficiency. You see him, he's getting whatever he wants, three-pointer, get to the basket, mid-range, free throw line. And there's just a coolness about how he approaches the game. And thankfully for Toronto, he's the only sort of consistent scoring threat out there, and has willed this team in that Game 4 to victory. So, it's a gamble, and it's a big gamble, sort of trading away some important pieces to a conference, Eastern Conference championship, Eastern Conference finalist roster. But what you're seeing now is why that decision was made, and it gives you a year to try to recruit him as well. And so, but he's showing a lot in terms of just toughness and mental toughness, grit, and his willingness to take over like we haven't seen from him, and doing it day in and day out. It's been spectacular.
This is probably already the best single postseason performance by a Raptor in franchise history. He's been unbelievable. 152 points on 89 shots, which is crazy efficient. And the formula for the moment right now, Coach, is rely on what has been statistically the best defense of the postseason so far and give the ball to Kawhi. I guess the question would be, to Grant's point, is do they need some other kind of offense?
Well, the 2 people that jump out at you beside him, his numbers they're beyond just really good. 62 from the floor, 46 from the three-point line, and then 83 from the free throw line, averaging 38 points a game. But thank goodness that he's doing that, because Siakam, who has had an all-star level season, is struggling, 28% from the three-point line. Kyle Lowry, only 20% from the three-point line. So those extra points that they would pick up during the season from the three-point line, they are missing those. And those, by the way, are the only 3 players, averaging in double figures for them.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting right now. Philly's defense hasn't been all that bad when you stop and think about it.
Nope.
Except on the one guy.
No, I mean, you're right. And what's been surprising, though, with me with Toronto is just, I felt like they're not quite offensively playing like they played in the regular season. I thought they moved the ball. They got the ball from side to side. There was a little bit more balance. Obviously, things intensify in the postseason, but it just seems like it's a lot of one-on-one.
A lot of ISO.
Which I don't recall watching them play that. And obviously, in the playoffs, it's going to come down to that in certain situations. But ball movement, player movement, that was one of the beautiful things in watching Toronto. And it just seems like it's more here. Kawhi, bail us out.
Right.
And
very much so.
So, I think what happens when you have that ball movement, player movement, people touch the ball, they get a rhythm, they get as opposed to sort of maybe going a whole possession and all of a sudden having to take a shot at the end of a shot clock. So that's been one of the surprising things. I think the rest of the game, like a Danny Green or even they're due for a good game. Right. They're due for that. But it's a lot to ask of Leonard, and thankfully for the Raptors, he's delivered in every game.
I've seen some reluctance to shoot on the part of the other guys, wide open shot, and they'll pass it anyway to get it to Kawhi to do his thing. I guess it's hard to argue he's been so good so far, but they're not getting much else. Gasol did have 16 in Game 4. That's a bonus for them. The bench scored just 12, which outscored Philly's bench. All that by Serge Ibaka. So a very limited group of people scoring for the Raptors right now. All right, more coming up here.
Dribble handoff, he fakes it, passes to the corner. He steps back because he sees Cantor drop back. And now, again, the second dribble handoff, he gets in that seam, but he's got an open shot for his guard coming around. Again, DHO's dribble handoffs are big for them. He fakes the shot, drives the seam, kick back out. He's so good at drawing the second and third guy in there. And then again, faking it. Watch this late drop down. You think he's shooting it? He knows where his teammate is. Going to the basket for that late drop-off pass. So between dribbling it, handing off, screening at the same time, and we didn't even show his ability to make three-point shots.
Right, yeah. His decision-making has been phenomenal in the playoffs, and his turnovers have actually come down from the regular season despite playing extra minutes. He's been like a computer out there so far. I mean, he's just made so many good decisions.
Yeah, no, every time he has the ball in his hands, he is making great decisions. And, you know, just the way we always throw out the term point center, which is something that hasn't really been brought up before until he started playing. But, I mean, the offense runs through him. I mean, and it's amazing. It's something we really haven't seen. We've seen other great passing big guys.
Sure.
But his shooting, his off the dribble playmaking, his out of the high post, his teammates know, let me cut, let me move, because he will deliver. I mean, the total package, and great footwork in the post. If he's against smaller guys, he can beat you up down low. He can take bigger guys away from the basket, and he's like a LeBron James in that he can beat you with the pass. And so his consistency through this postseason. I think Kawhi Leonard, I think Dame Lillard, and I think Jokic. Those are the three guys who've been elite in terms of their performance, and and Kevin Durant as well. But his scoring and his passing, just truly a sight to see, and somebody you enjoy watching, regardless if you're a Denver fan or not.
Let's remind ourselves quickly, Denver had both Nurkic and Jokic and had to make a choice.
Right.
They kept Jokic. I think they're happy with it.
They're happy with it, and Mason Plumlee's been a really good backup big. He came over in that trade as well. That's coming up a little later on TNT. First up, though, it's the 76ers in Toronto, maybe with Joel Embiid in the lineup, or maybe not. We still don't know at this hour. That decision's